Earlier on, I showed you how to use the drag feature by selecting a component. You'll notice that the cursor now has the drag symbol, so I can drag the desk. This isn't very accurate. So to be more accurate, we'll use the move tool itself. So to use the move tool, again, we'll select our component, select the move tool. And in the options bar here, we have 3 different options, which I'll cover in a few moments. But to get us started, we will just click for our start point, move the cursor in the direction we want to go. We can also specify an angle, and we can physically type in a distance as well, and click to place. If I wanted to be more accurate in where I place that component, again, I'll have it selected, select the move tool, and from my start point, if I snap to the corner of that desk, I can move the desk now more accurately, again looking for another snap point on the edge of the other desk. So when moving, again, we have the couple of options here. First is constrain. If you're familiar with AutoCAD, it's simply ortho mode. So when I move the desk, I will only be able to move it in 0 degrees, 90, 180, or 270. So I'm constrained to those angles. So next with the move tool was the disjoin. So what this means is, for an example, if I attach and join a wall to the current wall here, so this is they're joined together. If I was to select it and try to move that, I'll just expand it, or I move it up in position, but again, it's still joined to the original wall. So if I wanted to move my new wall by itself, I would select the disjoin. So select disjoin, click and move, and they are now separate. Lastly, it's not highlighted at the moment, but the last one is multiple. In some occasions, when you move something, it's done once. If you wanted to move something multiple times, you'd select that, and then you're able to move that object multiple times. So next is the copy tool. So again, I'll select my desk. Here's the copy tool. Selected. And here again, I've got my 3 options. Constrain, disjoin is not highlighted, but multiple is. So once the tool is selected, I then click from my start point, click again for my end point, and I've copied my object across. If I wanted to copy something across multiple times, select my copy tool, turn on multiple, and I can now copy multiple times. Again, we're aware of what constrain means. We're copying at 0 degrees, 90, 180, and 270. Again, if we wanted to copy something with more accuracy, select our copy tool, select a base point, and select our finish point. Again, I'm just snapping from one edge to the other. Next is the rotate tool. So again, selecting the component. Oh, here we have the rotate tool. So once I select the tool, my point of rotation automatically will go to the center point of the component. So I'm first going to show you how we can use this one, and then I'll show you how we can place it where we want it to be. So this start ray of rotation would appear, which is this line here. So that's where we would click to start our array of rotation. So with one click, I'll place it. I can then move my cursor to place the end ray of rotation. This is where I'll specify the angle to rotate. Again, we can just follow the input on the screen, or we can manually type it in and clicking to finish. I'm just going to undo. So again, selecting the desk using the rotate tool. So if we didn't want the ray of rotation to start in the center point, we can move that point. We have a couple of different ways we can do it. In the options bar, we can go and click on place. We can also come down to the grip, click and drag it to a new location. We can also click on spacebar and then specify the new point. Once we've placed our point, it's then again the same case of specifying the start point, pulling the cursor around, and clicking again to specify the rotation. Okay, so I'm going to just pan down to the lower half to get some more space. And I'm going to draw in some walls. In this scenario here, we have two walls not joining. Instead of clicking, using the grip to drag up and extend it to join them, we can use our trim and extend. So we can select the lower wall, and in the modified panel here, we have our trim and extend. So by selecting this tool, we'll be able to extend this wall up and trim away this excess piece. So it's the opposite if you're familiar with CAD. So with Revit, we select the walls we want to keep. So again, I'll select the wall, use my trim and extend, and select the walls I want to keep. If I just simply want to extend up the lower wall, I'll select the wall. And here we have two other features. We have trim and extend a single element. So I'll select the wall that I want my lower wall to extend to, and then the wall that I want to extend. I'm going to copy this over. So I'll select the trim and extend multiple elements. I'll then select the wall I want my lower walls to extend to, and then the walls that I want to extend. And then if I wanted to trim away that excess piece, use my trim and extend like so. Next, we have our split element tool. So with this wall, if I wanted to split it up into specific segments, I'd use my split elements tool. So I'll select split element, and then you'll notice my cursor is now in the little split element tool, and then I can simply click on the wall to split it up into specific elements. I can then select it and delete. There's a quicker way of doing this, of course, so I'll just undo what I've done. When I select my split elements tool in the options bar, if I tick on delete inner segment, now when I place my segments, the intersection deletes. Beside that, we have split with gap, where we then in the options bar specify a gap. So if I enter in 100 millimeters for an example, every time I click, it will automatically generate a 100 millimeter gap between those elements. Next, we have little pins. So if I'm happy with the position of my walls and I didn't want them to move, because it's quite easy to accidentally click and drag an element away. So what we can do is we can pin them in place so they can't be moved. So a quick way to pin everything is to use my object selection and then selecting the pin tool. And you'll notice each segment now has its own little pin. So when I click and try to drag, I can't. To unpin, it's quite simply clicking on that little pin. Then I can adjust and then I can repin. So I'm going to unpin what I've drawn to move on. And next we'll look at the delete tool. So it's a little red X. So this will remove any little element that we don't want in the project. So I'll select my tool, selecting the element and pressing enter. We also have the option of selecting the delete key on the keyboard. So again, we can just highlight, selecting the delete key on the keyboard. Next, we're going to look at the array tool. So I'm going to come up. I'm going to drag one of the desks away. I'm going to select the desk, select the array tool. First, we select the type of array, whether it be a linear array or a radial array. Do we want them to remain grouped and associated with each other? How many do we want to be involved in that array? Next is how we start the array. Whether we start by placing the second component or the last component. And once we place the second component, then the array will continue on after that. If we place the last component, everything will be arrayed in set to that. Again, we can constrain them if we need be. So I'll do a quick example here. If I up the array to 10, first I'm going to use the move to second. So with this, I just click and move my desk into the second position that I want my desks to be. And then after that, you'll see it will array to a total of 10. I have the final option of increasing or decreasing that here. So again, I'll use the array tool. I'll array up to 12, but this time I'll place the last desk. So when I select the last desk, I'll now click the desk, move it into the position being its last position, and then everything will array in set to that. So next for the scale, what I'm going to do is just quickly draw and roll. And we have two different types of scale. So when I select my element selecting scale, we have graphical and numerical. So first I want to show you is the graphical scale. I'm going to first select each three of the walls. I do this by clicking on one wall, holding down Control and selecting all three. Then I'll select scale, remain graphical. So the graphical scaling requires 3 clicks. The first click determines the origin, and the next 2 clicks define the scale vectors. So I want to increase the size of this opening in the wall. So I'm going to first click here determines my origin. Next I'll click again. And you'll notice that the wall will start to expand out. So given that final third click, which is my finish point, you'll notice that the wall has increased in opening size. So next is the scale factor by numerical. Again, I'll select the wall onto scale, selecting the scale tool, toggle over to numerical. So to scale numerically, first you've got to enter in your scale. So we'll leave it at 2. And then we've got to specify the origin of the scale. So the stop point. So if I use this as my start point, I'll click and my wall has increased in distance by a scale factor of 2. So I wanted to double this again. Again, I can click on scale, numerical, scale factor 2, and my origin. And again, it's increased in length by 2. So that's it for the modify panel. We will be incorporating these tools throughout the project. So if you're unsure of any of the tools, not to worry, because I will be going back over them again and again as we start to develop our project.